Hello, and welcome to the Bark. My name's Cole Haskins.
And I'm Jay Kaufman. Today we're going to look at the latest in all Butler sports, talk about the Pacers' newest acquisition, and preview the NFL Conference Championship games. Let's get into it.
On Saturday, the Bulldogs hosted the struggling DePaul Blue Demons in a must-win game for the Dogs' tournament hopes. The Dogs started off the game slow, down 14-11 in the first 10 minutes of the game, but turned it on with a 26-10 run to end the half. The Dogs led by 13 at the half, holding DePaul to just 24 points. In the second half, the Dogs controlled the rest of the game, maintaining a 9-point lead. Pierre Brooks II led the Dogs in scoring with 20 points, while DJ Davis broke through his recent slump after adding 17 points. Butler closed out the game with a final score of 74-60. On Tuesday night, the Dogs traveled to the nation's capital to take on the 10th-place Georgetown Hoyas in what was yet again a must-win game for the Dogs to keep tournament hopes alive. The Dogs started off slow, down 23-20, before Brooks went on a personal 13-0 run to give the Dogs a 33-23 lead. The Dogs walked into the locker rooms up 44-32. Butler would then dominate all the way to the final buzzer, claiming the victory 90-66. Brooks led the way for the team with 20 points and 11 rebounds, marking the first double-double of his career. Next up for the Dogs is a massive game against the Villanova Wildcats. Saturday afternoon will be the Dogs' chance to show they belong at the top of the Big East.
The Butler women's basketball team got their first Big East win of the season Wednesday with a 90-57 win over the Xavier Musketeers. Caroline Strandy led the way for the Bulldogs with a career-high 26 points along with 10 rebounds. Butler shot 62% from the field and 54% from three. Freshman Riley Makaleski also added 19 points for the Dogs, who improved to 9-10 on the season and 1-7 in Big East play. Junior forward Sydney James talks about how the team can continue to play good basketball.
A couple of the recent games on it have not been going our way, but I think we've learned a different lesson in each of those games, and I think each game in the Big East we get better, and these next couple of games you'll probably see a different side of us.
Next up, Butler travels to Milwaukee to take on Marquette Saturday. Currently, Marquette is 15-4 on the season and 4-4 in Big East play. They have won their last two games, the most recent game being 75-54 against Seton Hall.
Now, let's send it over to Isabel with an update on the Big East standings.
The current Big East standings for men's basketball have UConn leading the conference with a 7-1 record and a 7-game win streak. The number 1 ranked team in the nation beat Villanova in a close game on Saturday, 66-65. Creighton comes in second after defeating Seton Hall 97-94 on Saturday, bringing both teams' records to 6-3, leaving Seton Hall in third. Marquette follows with a 5-3 record and a Wednesday night win over DePaul. St. John's advanced their ranking after a win over Villanova 70-50, bringing their conference record to 5-4. Providence, Villanova, and Xavier all have records of 4-4, leaving them in the middle of the rankings as Villanova and Xavier face tough losses this week, while Providence beat Seton Hall 67-63. Butler follows with a record of 4-5 and a 2-game win streak after beating Georgetown and DePaul, who both fall at the end of the rankings. Georgetown has a record of 1-7, while DePaul is winless at 0-8. Men's Big East play resumes this Saturday with 4 games as teams hope to move up in the conference rankings. UConn is also leading the Women's Big East Conference as they are currently 9-0 in conference play. As the number 8 ranked team in the nation, the Huskies beat Marquette 85-59 on Tuesday to continue their undefeated streak. Creighton comes in second with a conference record of 6-2 and a victory against Georgetown on Wednesday, 77-72. Villanova and St. John's follow with records of 5-3 after some tough losses this week. Villanova lost to Providence on Wednesday in overtime, 76-82, while St. John's lost to Seton Hall, 66-74 on Monday. Marquette, Georgetown, Seton Hall, and Providence fill up the middle of the Big East rankings, all with records of 4-4. DePaul follows with a record of 2-5 as they hope to score a win over St. John's at home tonight. Lastly, Butler beat Xavier on Wednesday to earn their first conference win of the season, 90-57, leaving Xavier in last place with 0 wins so far. We're almost halfway through conference play in the Big East, so there's plenty of time left for upsets in the rankings before March Madness ramps up.
Thanks, Isabel. Next, we'll throw it over to Amanda for more on the Pacers' newest acquisition, Pascal Siakam.
The Indiana Pacers made waves in the NBA last Wednesday with their acquisition of former Toronto Raptors star Pascal Siakam. The 6'8" power forward joins the Pacers after accumulating an impressive resume. The 29-year-old is a two-time All-Star, a two-time All-NBA selection, and an NBA champion. Here's what head coach Rick Carlisle had to say about the newest addition.
He's an experienced guy that's defended a lot of great players over the years. Rebounding is very good. The fit with Tyrese as a 1-2 punch is something that makes a lot of sense to us, and I think to him too.
This trade gives Indiana a second All-Star to pair with their rising superstar Tyrese Halliburton, an attempt to help the Pacers reach the level of top-tier contenders in the Eastern Conference.
Thanks, Amanda. As winter sports continue, the Big East has released their preseason poll and awards for baseball and softball. The baseball team starts the season as underdogs in the Big East, with the coaches voting for them as the 7th best team in the conference. Butler has a very new roster this season, with Coach Beamer bringing in 22 new players. The Bulldogs are led by captains Cole Graverson, a senior pitcher, and Carter DeRiggi, a junior shortstop. The Bulldogs also have outfielder Joey Urban. Urban was named to the preseason All-Conference team after winning Big East Freshman of the Season last year. UConn took the top spot in this year's poll, with reigning Big East champion Xavier slotted at number 2. Here is Bulldog Joey Urban to speak on his goals for the upcoming season.
I mean, definitely beat all my stats like last year. I definitely want to be over 350. That's my goal. Over 350, 10 bombs, a lot more RBIs, more than I had. But I think sticking with first team, Big East, or All-American again, I think would be cool.
For Butler softball, the Big East preseason poll ranks them as the 5th best team in the conference. The Bulldogs finished as the 4 seed in the Big East last season with a record of 12-9 in the conference. Butler softball will have less adjusting to do as they are returning every defensive starter from the previous season. Among those returning are 2023 All-Big East selections Sydney Carter, Paige Dorsett, Mackenzie Grimman, and Kate Leonard. The top 3 in the poll were close. Villanova topped the poll, followed by UConn, with the reigning Big East champs Seton Hall ending up in 3rd place. Be sure to stay tuned as the start of the season is just a few weeks away, with softball going to the Doc Halverson Unidome Classic and baseball teams starting their season against Florida State.
The Butler track and field team shined bright in the inaugural Butler Invitational inside the Farm Bureau Fall Creek Pavilion this weekend. As the host of the meet, the Bulldogs put on a show, winning 6 different events. The Bulldogs dominated the men's 800 meters, claiming the top 3 spots. Jesse Hamlin secured the win with a time of 1 minute and 49 seconds and a quarter, and his mark is now the 5th fastest time in the NCAA. Luke Finnegan and Ben Bradley impressed in the men's 60 meters, securing a 1-2 finish. Abby Fosvate and Morgan Walsh matched that performance in the women's 800 meters after taking the top 2 spots as well. Looking ahead, the Bulldogs are gearing up for the Michigan Invitational in Ann Arbor on January 26th and 27th.
Indiana isn't the only place where sports are heating up this winter. Kyle has us covered with the latest NFL news in the Sports Corner.
Thanks, Cole, and welcome to the Sports Corner. Today, we are going to take a look at the NFL as the NFL Conference Championship games are set to take stage on January 28th to determine who gets to go to the Super Bowl. For the NFC, the 14-5 Detroit Lions are taking on the 13-5 San Francisco 49ers. The Lions won their last 2 matchups, 31-23 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this past Sunday, and 24-23 against the Los Angeles Rams on the 14th. The 49ers lost their Week 18 matchup 21-20 against the Los Angeles Rams, but won their last matchup 24-21 against the Green Bay Packers last Sunday for their divisional round. For the AFC, the 13-6 Kansas City Chiefs are taking on the 14-4 Baltimore Ravens. The Kansas City Chiefs have won their last 2 games 27-24 this past Sunday against the Buffalo Bills in the divisional round and 26-7 against the Miami Dolphins in the wild card game on the 13th. The Baltimore Ravens won their most recent matchup against the Houston Texans 34-10 in their divisional round last Saturday, but lost their Week 18 matchup against the Pittsburgh Steelers 17-10. The NFC and AFC Conference Championships look promising as the 4 teams look to fight for a spot in Super Bowl 58. In my opinion, I think that the Baltimore Ravens are going to face off against the San Francisco 49ers, and the Baltimore Ravens are going to win by a mile. Let's take it back to Cole and Jake to sign off.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of The Bark. We look forward to being back for a new episode next week. Stay classy and go Dogs.